Welcome to this week's weekly Advisor Team webinar. As you know, we hold these webinars every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and we review common questions or topics that clients have as they go through the business credit building program. So today we're talking about step 2. What does my business qualify for now? The reason I picked this topic today is I've noticed a large number of clients calling in asking if they have to complete all 6 steps in order to qualify for financing. And I want all of my customers to know that once you go through step 1, we know those foundation items are in place so that we can start the application process. In step number 2, anything the business qualifies for right away, we want to dive in, exhaust those options, continue to build the business credit, work on any other factors that would make the business fundable, and then exhaust those options later down the road. So as I said, in step 1, as you know, we are just making sure that foundation is in place, that the business is set up correctly, all items that lenders want to verify, that they're organized and they're compiled in a way that a lender will feel comfortable. Keep in mind, one of the most common reasons clients get a decline or an extra documentation request is simply because everything's not in order. For business revenue financing, one of the frequent items that client may miss is updating their bank account with the correct business name and address. When we submit statements to a revenue lender, they're going to look at the business name and address that shows on those statements. If it doesn't correlate with the address that shows on the application, they're going to want more information. That may be the first page of a tax return or something like that to verify the business address. Okay, so we now understand why step 1 is so important. In step 2, we are talking about, what makes my business fundable? What defines this silly word fundability? It's not in the dictionary, unfortunately, but I like the word because it defines how fundable your business is. We talk about the 4 C's, the company's character, capacity, collateral, and capital. We won't go into detail, but those are important bullet points to understand because it gets you thinking like a lender so that you can understand why they do what they do, and it helps throughout the application process. And that's what we're here to do, is help you look at your business like a lender looks at your business. Okay, so as you know, in step number 2, before we get too far, you can ask questions. This call is recorded, and we'll be sending that out at the end of the webinar, and we'll also answer the questions at the end of the webinar. Okay, so in step 2, we ask basic questions, and we're asking these questions to get to know more about the business. These are the elements that make the business fundable. It's okay to enter zeros. It's okay to answer no. What we're doing is trying to understand the business. So, is there a bank account in the business name? Yes or no? Is the business a home-based business? Yes or no? It's not a deal breaker if it is a home-based business. Sure, lenders prefer to see a business address. We'd advise our customers in step 1 to try and get a business address if at all possible. But we can still move forward and we can work with that. So you'll want to answer that question honestly so we can profile the lenders accordingly. The month and the year the business was started. Oftentimes this is about when the bank account was opened. You can also enter the incorporation date there. Major industry focus. Tell us about the industry. There's some industries that are higher risk than others. There's certain lenders that won't lend to a certain industry. So we take that piece of data as we're making decisions of what lender is going to be the best fit. Gross monthly revenue, and then amount of credit card sales. All these questions are telling us those elements that make the business fundable. Let's go to the next page. On this page, we have more questions about the personal assets and about the business assets. There are some business loans that can be based off of a personal asset, especially this 401k IRA financing. It's one of my favorites, actually, because the interest rates are so low and you're simply lending, getting financing based on the amounts you have in an IRA or 401k. There's stipulations on that, but it's one of my favorite types of financing because it's so inexpensive for the client, which is always my goal. So we ask for these details like the amount of invoices you're receiving, current amount of existing purchase orders. To explain a purchase order, that is, for instance, if Walmart asked you to make 10,000 t-shirts, they would give you a purchase order. You could get financing based on that purchase order because it would be indeed hard to purchase all the equipment and the t-shirts to fulfill that order. We also like to understand the amount of equipment owned outright. Let's go to the next page. On this page, we're asking about the personal credit scores. Why? We're not going to go for personal lines or loans. There are business credit cards, lines, and loans that like to have a personal guarantee. Typically, that type of financing has the lowest cost associated with it because the risk is lower for the lender. We're profiling to see if those type of lending products are going to be a fit for you. Okay, so once you've put in those scores, you'll hit save and continue. And we're asking about the business bank account. We want to understand the balances you've maintained for the past 3 months. Again, profiling for another common type of financing. I've also put some tips in here that help a client that's trying to open a bank account. Okay, so that is all step 2 is. And we want all of our clients to get to step 2 as quickly as possible. Step 1 is really a stepping stone. To get to step 2, we want to get our clients into financing as soon as possible. So we'll take those elements that make the business fundable and create the finance blueprint. Hey, this is what makes your company fundable. And here are the products. Now let's map that out so we know what lenders are going to be the best fit. And that's conversation that you have with the advisor team on that blueprint call. If you haven't had a blueprint call with your advisor, I recommend that you give them a call and that you don't wait until you get through all of the steps to have that discussion. The advisors will also try and have that blueprint call with you in step 2. There's no need to rush or skim through these steps to move forward because we're going to meet that immediate need for financing right away. And while you're working on that financing, you can also work on establishing your business credit reports and getting trade lines reporting so that down the road, which is on your finance blueprint, you will qualify for these business credit cards that don't require a personal guarantee. Your finance blueprint is always changing because your business is always changing. So yes, we have that discussion in step 2, but you're also going to have that discussion in step number 6. I hope this information was helpful today. Let's see if we have any questions. Here we go. Credit scores. Are they Vantage or FICO that get pulled in, and how do the Vantage scores translate into FICO? You know, when we ask for that, we usually want the FICO scores, but we will adjust them accordingly. So we get those scores on the site, and then we will talk with the client and get more detail to understand if those are Vantage or FICO. Great question. Another here on the blueprint. Does the blueprint list all the products a company might qualify for based upon the type of business or on the business's current, let's see, does the blueprint list all the products a company might qualify for based upon the type of business or on the current business's current answer to the question? So let's look at that. Let's see if I can pull up a blueprint for you. I'm going to pull up a blueprint if I can. Here we go. Give me a moment. And I want to show you the blueprint. Basically, we are listing out all the general types of financing. So it doesn't list the actual lender. And we do as we go through this and look at the elements, we're taking their industry into account. So let's show my screen here and maximize that. So this is the current blueprint. It's a little cropped because I'm on the webinar, but essentially it talks about, is the foundation there? We can mark off that box. And then we enter the elements of fundability here. What elements made the company fundable? We talk about, the personal credit scores here. What business credit do they have? Some clients come in the program with some. So we'll record that here. Okay, so what are the solutions? You can see here, these are just the general descriptions of the type of financing. And there's so many things that follow under each heading. And then we talk about, well, what's our action plan? And then we outline that here. This is really just a visual for the conversation that the advisor is having with you. And so this is basically notes. So as you're having that finance discussion with the advisor, you have something to follow along with. And it also gives you your action items here at the bottom so you know what's required. It'll also be emailed to you, and we'll follow up with you if we don't get those items to make sure that we can't help in any way to help you get those completed, like some bank statements and things like that. So we will talk in detail about your industry and how your industry affects your finance options. Okay, let's see if any other answers came through or questions came through. That's all we have for today. I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to work with you and your business. We keep these short so that you can continue to run those businesses and do everything you need to do. It's a powerful time in which you can set a stop, doing all those business duties you have and really focus on your business. So it's a pleasure having you with me today. Just remember, in our program, our goal is to help you maximize on the funding that your business does qualify for, help you understand what elements make your business fundable, and in return, what lenders are the best fit. We're taking out that learning curve, mapping it all out for you, and that's why you're part of our program. That's why you're part of our team. So feel free to give the advisor team a call anytime you have questions. Our direct phone number is 800-497-0499. Again, that's 800-497-0499. You can also email the advisor team, advisor@businessfinancesuite.com. I look forward to talking with you all next week. Have a wonderful evening.